pronounced vote. We all vote in November. V-O-T-E. It's a long O. I get Voight. I get Vought. I get Vote. There's many different pronunciations, but it's pronounced with a long O. I stand before you today as the namesake of the 1759 Vought House. My brother Philip for Plainville and I are 8th direct generation descendants of Christoffel. Actually, his name was John Christoffel Vought and his wife Cornelia. In the German way, they gave lots of children the same first name, and they were all known by their middle name. So Christopher was known as Stoffel, or as Stevens explained, as Stoffel. So I have learned the correct pronunciation. His first name was Johann. I thought it was Johannes. So again, we learn different ways of the pronunciations. Stevens explained why he was called Stoffel or Stoffel by his family and friends, so I will not repeat that. His son John, which was his son's first name, purchased the tract of land adjacent to where this property was in 1773, so they had quite a chunk of the Clinton Township. This information was documented in a 1907 book called The Vought Family. It was written by William Gordon Verplank, and our family copy of this book was given to my father, John Henry Vought IV, back in 1974 by his grandmother, Natalie Sternberg Vought. The book was then given to me, and between the two of us, we updated our current family's generation, which runs up through the 10th generation with my sons and my nieces. With me today is my wife, Dr. Kathleen Favaloro. We live in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. It's about an hour from the 2,000 tract of land in Waynesburg, south of Albany, New York, where the Vought family went after they fled from Clinton to, I believe it was Nova Scotia for 8 years. They came back to that 2,000 tract of land, acre tract of land in Waynesburg and lived out the rest of their life. Christopher's parents, he and his wife, his son and his wife are all buried in private grave sites outside of the Waynesburg, somewhere between there and Albany. Also with us today is my brother Philip and his 2 daughters, my eldest son and his partner, and we are very honored and humbled to be here today to witness a piece of history that really makes me shiver. It really does. It's like coming home. Back in 2007, imagine receiving an email from some guy named Don Sherwood. And I didn't know him. And the subject line said, "Any relation to the New Jersey, New York Vought family?" Question mark. And when I read the text that was short that followed, it said, "Hi, Christopher. I couldn't resist asking if you're related to Christoffel Vought, who built the house in 1759 in Hunterdon County, New Jersey. After the war, they emigrated to Nova Scotia, and 8 years later, back to Albany, New York, where John lived out the rest of his life, and his son, Christopher, another Christopher in the family, was a U.S. agent in the War of 1812. I really couldn't believe my eyes. These words I had actually seen in black and white before. So I was kind of questioning, why am I getting this in an email? I went back to our family copy of the Vought book by Mr. Verplank, and I read the passages again. And about 10 days later, after I figured out what should I really say to Don, I answered the email and said, yes, I am that person. I was truly amazed that something like this house existed. I had heard of the Vought tract of land in Albany. I had not known that there was a house in New Jersey. But the proof was in black and white because I had the book in front of me that showed the lineage from Christopher and his wife down through my dad that was passed on to me. So I knew that the email that Don sent me, that wasn't a hoax. It really wasn't. And after corresponding with Don several times, I read through the Vought House book and the website, which is an amazing amount of information. It's truly an amazing amount of information. I later received and read the 300-page Hunter report. If you haven't seen this report, it tells you everything you want to know about my family's history. I learned stuff about my family reading that. I couldn't believe the amount of work that they went through. I saw the pictures of the house, the property, the barn that still stands, the building I think that was torn down, the carriage house or whatever it was. And the pictures were from the era of 1974. So when I drove here in 2010 with my wife Kathleen, and Don showed us the property, and there was this little house and a big school. And I was thinking, wow. And we saw the stream out back where they built the dam to flood the land so that they could water the crops. It was like I was home. I couldn't believe it. And the amount of work that the people here in Clinton have done is really, really amazing. We came in 2010, and I'm glad that I've been able to stand here today. There are many, many people that made this day a reality, many more than I'm ever going to know about. But I would like to thank a few of the individuals that I learned about in the process since 2007 that has really made this a historical day in Clinton Township, and actually for the entire country, and for the students here locally. First, I would like to recognize Stephanie Stevens, because for her vision, she acknowledged that there are two sides of history that shaped our great country that we live in. She acknowledged this fact. Without her vision, and now I see there's two other young ladies in the audience, without your vision, we wouldn't be standing here today, dedicating the transfer and building this partnership with the Clinton Township Middle School and the 1759 Vought House. What better way for our students and the adults to learn about our country's beginnings firsthand and not through some book falling asleep in class. They can actually go and see the house. Second, I would like to recognize the Clinton Township Board of Education officials for their change of heart to save this valuable piece of property from the demolition and to help change it into a museum and an educational center. And third, I would like to acknowledge the staff at Hunter Research for their thorough, excellent documentation of this 300-page research book. It's called the Phase 1 and Phase 2 Cultural Resource Investigation of the Christopher Vought Farm Site. It was a proposal for the Clinton Township Middle School, and it was prepared for the township, or the Board of Education. This report, this 300-page report, could be the basis for the curriculum here at the school to teach about the 1759 Vought House. I even learned about my family's history out of this report, stuff that I did not know. And lastly, I'd like to recognize Don Sherwood, the president of the nonprofit, for spearheading the effort to save this important historical site for generations to come. And as Don stated back in 2006, this is how you teach history. During the American Revolution, loyalties were fluid. You can't understand the history of the Revolution without understanding those who side with the king. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge John and my family, my wife Kathleen, my brother Phil and his daughters, my son Christopher and his partner. When we go across the hall, we are going to acknowledge everybody's participation with the Save the Serpent campaign, and we are going to give from our family a check for $1,759 towards that campaign. Today, and thank you so much for allowing us to be part of this presentation. We look forward to more visits and to see the restoration efforts as they progress. We wish the nonprofit board members, the volunteers, and those involved with the 1759 Vought House project a vision come true. Thank you very much.